Harden's for Simmons trade is in the books now. As the dust settles, there's like a zillion questions that I have. A zillion. Let's just look at two. First of all, we thought in the beginning of this trade that Harden signed a player opt-in, which would give the Philadelphia Sixers this season and next season to evaluate whether my man, James Harden, was or was not washed. But apparently, we do not think he's washed. I just want to go on the record. I do not think James Harden is washed. But if I was evaluating him to the point of maybe paying him $60 million a year in 4 years from now, maybe I would be a little less enthusiastic and optimistic as me, the Harden fan that I am, the huge, completely optimistic Harden fan that I am. He didn't opt into the player contract, so you got the 25 games and then it's time. Is it marriage? Is it love and marriage? Or is it time to cut your losses and go elsewhere? I think they're gonna sign him regardless. They paid up too much. That so much has gone on. You had Ben Simmons on the books for the next 4 years anyway. I mean, he wasn't gonna play for you ever, so who knows? But it is an important detail nonetheless that everyone thought that a part of that deal was him opting in so that you had a season and 25 games plus this postseason to evaluate. But if you're worried as a Sixer fan that he's going to go somewhere else in free agency, do not be worried, at least about this, because James has got nowhere else to go. Yeah, you got no place to go. You've got the Spurs and you've got the Pistons as the two most likely teams to have cap space this offseason. And I tell you what, if you're James Harden and you push your way out of Houston, you push your way out of Brooklyn, you are not going to be excited about playing with DeJounte Murray or Cade Cunningham. Have you seen Cade Cunningham? I'm not even going to go into Cade Cunningham. But he ain't got nowhere else to go. The only teams are them. And plus, if he were to go to the Spurs or the Pistons, he would have to sign a deal of 4 years, $200 million, right? That's a lot of jack. But if he signs with the Sixers, he can sign for 5 years, $270 million. And let me ask you this, riddle me this. Do you think if he signs a 4-year deal with another team, somehow in that 5th year, that's going to be a $70 million 1-year deal for James Harden when he's 37 years old? No shot. There's no shot he makes up that money. Fascinating stuff. Just a little wrinkle for folks to think about in terms of how you want to, deal with James Harden long term and vice versa. Secondly, I personally wanted to know what Kyrie Irving had to say about this trade. I personally thought maybe he would address feeling, bad, sad, damn, maybe I could have done more. Maybe I could have called him and told him I was looking into vegan vaccines, and it might be coming soon. Who knows? People were asking Kyrie, what'd you think? I don't know. The fact that he's missed most of this year, despite being healthy enough to play, maybe he would have some self-awareness that not being available, despite being healthy, could have pushed James Harden to a place where he was feeling like that wasn't a situation he wanted to be in. Putting a lot of pressure on James. Pressure that James didn't no longer want, which is why he left Houston to begin with. I don't know. Pressure that Kyrie had the hand on his lever. He could change how much pressure up and down all he wanted. Down pressure, up pressure. And he turned that volume all the way up. No, James. Now that KD's out, it's all you, all by yourself. You and Peyote Nick Claxton. Just you two. No Joe Harris. It's just you and old washed Blake Griffin and heart arrhythmia LaMarcus Aldridge and me halftime. So, I wanted to know, Kyrie, what do you say? Here's what he had to say.
Play your media games with somebody else, bro. Please, I understand that there's a lot going on in the web, and I'm here as a human being just like you, bro. Please respect my boundaries, man. That's all I'm asking, bro. There's no guilt that I feel. I'm the only player that has to deal with this in New York City because I play there. If I was anywhere else in another city, then it probably wouldn't be the same circumstances. But because I'm there, we have Eric Adams. We have the New York mandate. We have things going on that are real life circumstances that are not just affecting me, bro. So you ask me these questions, I don't feel guilt. I'm just living my life as best I can. Just
James, I'm so glad you got the fuck up out of there. I didn't feel that 2 hours ago when I first heard that, but what is he talking about? Let's break this down for a second. Kyrie not only feels zero guilt, he decided to go on the offensive on the media member who asked him, do you feel anything about the fact that the reason potentially that James Harden left early was because you were not around due to your choices that you've made that have impacted the team to the point where you weren't even around the team at all until they needed you because guys were dropping like flies, so they allowed you to come back for only road games. And you decided, not only do I not feel guilt, how dare you even imply that I should feel guilt? No. This is something that only I have to deal with because no other human being has to deal with a pandemic and the decisions that you make by being vaccinated or not vaccinated in the city of New York. Like, even intimating that there is a possibility that you were a factor, a determining factor, or a catalyst in that decision-making, first and foremost, you should acknowledge that. Second of all, if you are a catalyst for someone leaving and becoming pissed off because you're not around, because you won't get vaccinated, to the point where I've come on the show and said James Harden on a press release said, I am going to give Kyrie Irving the shot myself in a joking, but not really so joking manner, to the point where you, on those road games that you're so able to play, when you go to Cleveland, you're burning sage in front of him, like bad vibes, get these bad vibes out of here, like you're basically trying to burn the COVID away. What the fuck are you talking about? And secondarily, like, boundaries? Excuse me, boundaries. We're literally asking you questions about something that just happened that you are probably directly responsible for. And you're talking about boundaries? Excuse me, what? What about the boundaries that the New York City set in place about trying to keep their people safe when athletes are going into the stadium, whether they're vaccinated or not? What about those boundaries that you don't care to respect? What are we even talking about? He was genuinely outraged. And I didn't care the first, I heard that like 6 times. And I was like, oh, Kyrie, you're so funny. And I was like, if I'm James Harden, I'm like, fuck this guy. What does he mean he doesn't feel guilt? He's the reason that I left. We were a trio that went 13-3 in 16 games. We could have been an unstoppable offensive force when all healthy. Add role players that'll come here and play for us for nothing. We're chilling. What are you You forced him out. Period. Yes. Was James Harden a bit of a bitch in the way that he left? Yes. Were you responsible for him taking this downturn and his attitude going from, I want to play in Brooklyn, that's the place I want to go, is reunite with KD, which I was already a little sus about, to play with Kyrie, who I've heard things about, all of us together going in one direction like a boat, unstoppable. But when we're going in different directions, we're going absolutely nowhere, which is why they went on an 8-game losing streak. Kyrie, perfectly healthy, which he normally never is, decides, you know what, James? It's just you out there. Go ball out, my dog, on the road. I'll see you in Houston. Are you insane? Back in October, Sean Marks said that there would be no contract extension for Kyrie. He signed through next year at $36 million a year. Then maybe we can start talking about boundaries at that point, huh? What if they don't sign him when he's able to be extended? How about the guilt he might be feeling at that point in time? So the 3 amigos become 2 amigos, become 1 amigo, and holy shit, it's just KD out here by himself hoping for Chet Holmgren. What a wild, bizarre ending to a team that could have been fucking electric. And instead, we get this fucking multiverse of madness where we have to think of alternate realities where this three would have been together, facing off against Giannis and the Bucks, which they certainly could have won that series. And an alternate scenario where they play the Warriors or the Phoenix Suns in the finals this year. In an alternate reality where everyone's healthy and maybe they win not 1, not 2, not 3, who knows? Maybe 2 or 3. But instead, we've got the multiverse of madness with a man who feels nothing about his role in getting rid of one of the most prolific scorers and playmakers we've ever seen in this generation. I am fuming.